Welcome to the United States of America podcast. I am your host, Niti, and we are broadcasting live from the Food Church here in North Carolina. If you've missed past episodes, please be sure to take the time to watch the first episode and watch the rest like a documentary. We are a people at peace, and we have declared peace to all nations around the world. This is not a marketing or a promotional channel. We are shining a light on knowledge that is being hidden from you. We are sharing the truth about your birthright and your inheritance. We have moderators who are assisting in the comment section. Please be kind and self-governed, and if you have any questions, please put them in all caps and only enter them once per show. I am joined on air with Greg Clarkson, regenerative farmer and ASN on Kansas. Welcome back, Greg.
Hey, Niti.
How are you?
It's been a while.
Yeah, you know what? I just wanted to say that I just wanted to take a moment and let you know first, Gregory, that Rohit and I have been deeply shocked by the news about Pamela. And we've been holding you in our thoughts and surrounding you with love and light during this very difficult time. And the feeling of helplessness is just, it's truly sobering for both of us.
That's all you can do is exactly that. Pray and send positive energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were expecting to have Anna with us today, and she still might pop on. Like, I don't know. I know one thing, and I think you can attest to this as well. You think you're going to do something, and then when you're grieving the way that you are right now, you think you're going to do it, and you just can't do it sometimes. So we will, we're going to leave space for Anna, and we will give her that grace if that's what she requires right now. So, one of the things that I know that we wanted to talk about was our LRO, but you mentioned her latest article. I have been working, at my regular job, and I haven't read this article, but I see that everybody in the chat is talking about it. Shall we pull that up first?
Yeah, go ahead. And it's really been interesting turn of events obviously for me and Anna this last month or two. And we've been communicating pretty much daily via email, which has been really, I think, very beneficial for both of us. And so I probably got the sneak preview to this article before it came out. It's really wonderful news. So yeah, if you want to pull it up, it's called Full Circle.
I'll pull it up, and you can walk us through it. Then how's that?
I can try.
Shall I read it, or what do you want? Do you want to talk about it first, or how you want to do it?
No, if you just want to read it, I think that might be the best.
Okay. It has been 11 years, 5 months, and 19 days since I sent my letter to Cardinal George of Chicago. Today, that demand for solace and redress and justice for the living people has been answered by the high courts of the world. Evicting me from my house based on false claims of tax debt, personage, and barratry was the final straw. Not only am I getting my house back, but we took the entire tax structure down with it. Take a deep, deep breath. Most people don't realize this, but the so-called 16th Amendment was the mechanism that created not only the federal income tax, but all the other taxes that piggybacked along with it. Property taxes, utility taxes, school taxes, road taxes, gas taxes, gift taxes, estate taxes, franchise taxes, inheritance taxes, capital gains taxes, license taxes, sanitation taxes, and yes, carbon taxes. We were able to prove by a simple process of deduction that the 16th Amendment never really existed, that there was no lawful authority backing it. And last but not least, our states of the Union never ratified it. So the 16th Amendment and all the roster of taxes that it supported and allowed and expedited, it's gone. Like so much wood smoke from a bonfire drifting away among the bare birch trees on a day in late fall in Big Lake, Alaska, October 22nd. Take another deep breath. This isn't merely the end of the IRS or the end of the complicit DOJ. This is the end of the endless makework of record keeping, tax consulting, tax enforcement, and tax prosecutions and tax litigations. This is the end of foreclosures and evictions and tax based confiscations of property. The end of the people being jailed because they purportedly owe tax debts, and the end of arbitrary tax assessments. The end of bank account seizures based on notices of levy. The end of endless wrangling over tax legislation, and the end of slander against tax protesters. The tin hats were right all along. It just took 40 years of slogging between that day when Nelson Rockefeller admitted on C SPAN that he made hundreds of millions and paid no taxes on it, to today, when the good people of this country will be able to say the same. This isn't a pittance. This isn't rejoicing because you don't have to pay taxes on your tips. This is the big one, baby. This is the end of taxation and all that goes with it. Goodbye to the fear and loathing surrounding April 15th. Farewell to having jackboots pasting papers to your front doors. No gangs of armed thugs storming into your house, terrorizing your families and pets, seizing your computers and records, killing your plants, stealing your furniture. Ta ta and good riddance to the BATF sponsored and very illegal IRS deputy raids. Of course, this also means the end of the billions and billions and billions of dollars wasted every year on the entire tax industry and endless hours spent by business owners keeping tax records. H&R Block and a gazillion other tax-based businesses will be gone in less than the time it takes to say 1040. And while I feel sorry for the people who are losing their jobs and businesses, this is their opportunity to find a far better purpose and meaning for their lives. To the 87,000 IRS workers Joe Biden hired in anticipation of a second term and plans for cracking down on all the peasants, go home. The peasants won. To the rest of you reacting with stunned disbelief, those who have grown up with the assumption that, of course, you must owe taxes, must pay taxes, must keep tax records. No, you don't. But, but, but what about government services? Who will pay for the roads and the schools and the assistance programs? All that and more has been paid for since 1941. The vermin were double dipping, continuing to charge you. There is absolutely no need for anyone to pay taxes. No taxes ever at all. So now, as you read those words and begin to grasp what they mean, yes, there will be a reclamation and restitution. All the money you paid to the Social Security, federal income tax, mortgages, property taxes, and hidden taxes you weren't even aware of, all that is coming back to you plus interest. This isn't a pipe dream, and you won't have to enforce it. The system is being thrown into full stop and reverse. Every case will be different, but there will be restitution for farms and businesses and homes that were stolen by misapplying statutory laws to living people. There will be atonement. Even as I was going through the ordeal of the mindless and lawless eviction, I recognized Providence's hand in it. I knew there was something more afoot. Some reason that I had to go through this insanity and why it had to be right now, soon after Jim's passing. I think the reason is now self-evident. We are heading into winter across most of the country. And with fuel costs skyrocketing, food costs skyrocketing, electricity costs skyrocketing, it's a no brainer to know that the vultures are circling. waiting for people to lose jobs, be unable to keep up with mortgages, unable to pay taxes. And that's where the perps come in to profit themselves by others' misfortune. Only this time, it's not going to happen. Say goodbye to the 16th Amendment because one more Hodunk District Court in Alaska played the same game these courts have played since 1865, even though they were given fair warning not to. Millions of American families won't face foreclosure or eviction this winter. They will be able to spend their money on food and heat and all the things that they need and not on foreign taxes. That's why I had to be evicted and why it had to happen now, so that our people wouldn't starve and freeze and be outset from their homes and farms under armed force, all on the basis of lies and false pretenses. I am humbled and grateful to stand as the injured party, an instrument in the hands of nature's God who took a victim and brought victory far beyond anything I can imagine. Take another deep, deep breath. No, there is no appeal for them. This has been decided by the highest courts on earth. The criminality and lies, the misrepresentations and impersonation of Americans as British subjects and municipal citizens of the United States, the imposition of dozens of taxes on our weary backs is over. It is over, and you have lived to see it. Enforcement begins tomorrow at 8 a.m. Notice to principals is notice to agents, and notice to agents is notice to principals. You know what's so good about this?
Many things. What do you think, though?
First of all, I didn't think anything past the 13th Amendment was ever ratified. Am I right or wrong, Greg?
I don't know for sure. I mean, there's a lot of discussion about the 14th not being ratified and the 16th.
I think
Uh,
from the 14th forward, that was all what they did after
yeah,
the usurpation, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, we'll ask
because,
Anna.
because we should ask her. We should
Yeah,
ask her. So this was written on the 22nd. You'll notice,
yes,
and enforcement begins at 8 a.m. tomorrow, which would be 8 a.m. this morning.
right.
So I do know she was able to go see her son
Mm-hmm.
and her critters today.
Mm-hmm.
As she said, I got my critters around me here.
Yes.
So you think about the timing of this whole
Mm-hmm.
thing, and it's just overwhelming to think what she's gone through. Um,
Yeah.
2 days after Jim's passing, this happened to her,
Yeah.
and you wonder why things happen because they do not make sense. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I think this is maybe a little bit of it starts to make sense. And this, she kind of talked about that in this public notice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
which,
go ahead.
well, I was going to say which means that we've got a lot of work to do with the LRO, and or there's going to be a lot of opportunity there for people to utilize what we've been working on and get
Yeah.
the land claims and get every
Get
this
it
is going to
ready.
open up a floodgate. That's for sure,
Anna
which is good.
said. Anna said, get ready.
Yep.
She said, get ready. It's about to go down.
Yep.
And I mean, I know it and I believe it 100% because um they have run out of corners to go and, run and hide in. And and so yeah, we need to get moving on that. And with that, I think there's a lot of confusion about how the LRO works. And so I'm really glad you're with me, Greg, to share this information with everybody. Um, I thought it would be interesting. I mean, first of all, um, you and I have had many conversations with Anna
Hmm.
about what she wanted from the LRO.
Hmm.
how she wanted this to be laid out and work for her
Hmm.
and the Federation. And so I thought it was easier for us to share this with everybody together because, I mean, if there's anything I've misinterpreted, maybe you can help clarify that. But true or false, um, we were told that Anna doesn't want any LRO, any land recording office monopolizing her assemblies, right?
Correct.
Yeah. There should be no LRO. So this is the reason why everyone we made it so that the LRO is self-publishing so that you don't actually have to go and work with anybody, not even us
Yeah.
to well, I guess they do kind of technically. They upload it. We
Well,
review it. We have to review
min-
it because
minimal. Yeah.
yeah, it's very minimum. Listen, when we're reviewing it, we're looking for wet autographs because it needs to be like an actual real, it has to be real um, paperwork because there are so many people uploading machine language documents and I don't know, crazy stuff. The other part of it is that we have to make sure, we just want you to know that we're supporting anyone who's trying to declare themselves a living man on the land and soil. So, this is a recording office specifically for the land jurisdiction. So, the paperwork has to be in alignment with land jurisdiction. The other thing that we expect is that it is going to your paperwork will be rejected if it is gibberish. If there's more than one style of law language on the document, because there's so many people that are really confused. You know, everyone's studying so many things like UCC and all of these remedies and you know and they're and we're following Anna's work. So basically, we have a criteria and a standard to make sure that it's upholding Anna's work or what she's taught. So no parse syntax, for example.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? I'm trying to think of the other parameters. I mean,
Well,
also for you to have an account, you must upload at least a 528 minimally or a 928 package. Otherwise, it deletes your account because we just need to keep it clear so we can see and that because we're actually maintaining physical records and the electronic records and there is an expense and labor behind all of that, which we're offering for free, right, Gregory?
yep. Yep. Yeah, and to go back to your original point is we want multiple places for people to publish and more multiple places for people to record.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole idea. In my background designing reactor protection systems for nuclear power plants, we did something called redundancy and diversity,
Mm-hmm.
meaning multiple instances and different ways, diversity in that regard. So, this is just adding to our resilience in what we're trying to achieve here. So, yeah, but it's not a small task.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I've not been able to put much time to it lately, as you can imagine. So, but I do think we have a lot of uh, there's a very high importance to have that really up and running, to do that tsunami that's probably headed. It's building right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So then the next thing was everybody's saying, well, how much did it cost you to do this? So that we could just do it. Like every state can just do it, you know. We just aren't going to bring people home and we're not going to have our people move or do anything until we have our own for our own state. But then Doesn't that, Gregory, mean that they want to control their people on their state with their own LRO?
Hmm.
Isn't that the same thing that Anna didn't want?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of breaks the whole concept of redundancy in multiple locations. So I think it's wonderful that each state would have something. I think that's
Yes.
really good as another means in another place. But I don't think that should prevent or you should hold off bringing
Mm-mm.
people home because of that.
I mean, that is ridiculous, like not to bring people home when the
Yeah,
mission is to rescue everybody. And because I don't know, everybody wants this flat figure, Greg, of what this costs. But I mean, are we, we're still paying for it. It's not done. We're still building it. It's a constant building. It's a constant maintenance. It's a
there's a
constant.
capital up front. There's ongoing cap or the capital, like you said, as you're building it out, and then there's ongoing costs. So, but
Because
you
it
know,
is a business that we're not charging you for.
yeah, yeah,
It's literally a business that our de facto charges for, you know, because to maintain records, to actually have living files, and also to maintain all of that on scale. And then, I mean, we're supposed to archive all of this.
hmm,
And so, but then Gregory, like 99% of the people who we're dealing with have never owned and operated their own business or created a business
yeah,
or know anything about creating all of that. And then this is on the scale of government.
yeah, yeah. You just got to set up the processes and the procedures, and there's just a lot of work to do. So that in my business previously, I had to do lifetime records retention. So I've been in this world before, and it's not difficult if you get it set up properly and we get our processes and our procedures and systems in place. But it is a burden.
Yeah.
Physically hard copy records, that's a burden. And that's why you want multiple locations. That's why each state having their own LRO with a physical hard copy. And then, why
Every
not publish?
county.
Yeah, or what?
I
Yeah,
mean, I mean, look, there's going to be multiple recording offices, but I think the problem is, Gregory, that everyone is associating this recording office the way that we would associate the assembly roster, for example.
mm,
Now, number one, this land recording office that we have, been working on and that we're doing out of the goodness of our hearts for all living men on earth is um, is not for the assemblies
right,
only. It's not for anybody who would be, required to serve on an assembly.
right.
So I think the other confusion is that you rescue people and then they automatically become a member of your assembly. That's that isn't how it should be.
That's not right.
You should say, "Hey, if you're interested in serving on, your nation state as an assembly member, then let us know. And if you don't, then you're free to go be privately living."
Yeah,
And we're not even the assembly is not responsible for maintaining records for every living man on earth, but the LRO is responsible for the records of all the living men that want to publish their paperwork, which is these
anywhere,
are
anywhere
three.
else.
Right. So
Yeah,
these are different services.
yep,
There's the recording office, which is for all living men to record things on in the land jurisdiction.
mm-hmm,
Then there's the assembly.
mm-hmm,
That has nothing to do with the LRO.
mm-hmm,
But if they have an LRO of their own, they cannot mandate that all living men are declared on that LRO if they live on that state,
right.
for example. because anybody, there's thousands of people, millions of people on, I mean, millions. There's millions of people here in North Carolina. Millions out of the millions of people on North Carolina, many people have declared themselves in multiple ways. Some under ecclesiastical law, some, in all these various different ways. There's various nations that we are sharing the land and soil with,
Hmm.
none of whom have any obligatory duty to serve on our assemblies. And just because someone comes through the assembly to declare doesn't require them to participate in the assembly.
Right.
And the assembly isn't supposed to presume upon these free men and track and trace them. That's not their job to do that. So this creates this confusion about, well, because everyone was taught that you manage your assemblymen on this LRO system. And isn't that what all de facto people do, Gregory?
Yeah. Yeah. It does sound awful suspicious, doesn't it?
It's awful suspicious that
Well,
they created this habit for everybody and trained them into this one system that everybody can centralize.
yeah. I mean, I'm I'm a farmer out here in Kansas, and I simply want to record my land.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want to do. That, or or record my what do you call it, private property automobile, whatever the proper term is, not vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
tractor, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That just means that I'm standing on my land. I want to record it, and nothing more, nothing less. That's kind of the simplest form, all the way up to, like you said, tying into. There's we need multiple avenues
Mm-hmm.
to be able to record and publish, and
Mm-hmm.
we're just simply trying to create one really focused on the land. The idea was we started with this to focus on the farmers and the small business owners and the land, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not limited to that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think you can make things too complicated. People can make things too complicated sometimes. It doesn't need to be complicated.
Well, we're all doing this for the first time,
Yeah,
after so many years, and everyone wants to really do a good job.
yeah,
And the emphasis of this LRO system, from the original one, that was created, the LRPS and how it was collapsed, and all of those lessons were lessons that Anna and the Federation and all of us Americans had to experience to be able to see and know how much we don't want to allow any of the systems to be centralized and manipulated and managed in such a way that it would create an opportunity for the people to be presumed upon. So the land recording office has nothing to do with the autonomy of an assembly or anything like that.
right.
So if you organize any, if you have any organization that you're managing, like your employees, right? Then
Hmm.
you have a roster. I
Yeah,
mean, there are these corporations that have thousands of employees and they have to maintain the roster of information for their employees. And, like, I guess HR tools, right?
yeah, it
Human
is.
resources tools. We don't want to call it that because we're the living men. Um, but it is just an Excel spreadsheet. It's nothing really that hard to manage. It is labor intensive and it definitely would be easier. So, what we did on the bucolic living law um, uh, land recording office is that if you create an account and you want to share your information publicly with your assembly, or you want your assembly to be able to pull your information, then you have to make your account public. You have
Yeah,
to you have to make this decision to do that. or you can make the decision to keep it private. In which case, if we, any state like, I don't know, South Carolina says, hey, we want you to pull us a roster. Can we get a copy of the roster of anyone who is declared on your land recording office? We can give them that roster of anyone who created an account and who wanted it to be public.
Hmm.
And if they didn't want it to be public, then they're on there, but they don't want anyone to know about it or whatever.
Yep.
Or
Yep.
they don't want to be contacted by the assembly because they're not interested in serving on the assembly.
Yeah, and I think we'll learn as we go, as with anything else. But I was just thinking about discussions we had about file segmentation.
Yeah.
Do we have file segmentation by state?
Yeah.
I think it probably makes sense to do that.
And county.
And county, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but those are things that we put the structures in place,
Yeah.
the architecture, if you will, of the system, and then as this builds out, I think I heard Anna say on a recent podcast, must have been Monday maybe, where she was talking about let's stop worrying about the counties, let's get our state stood up.
Yeah.
Um, you
People
know,
are really confused about
Well,
how,
and then but the counties will come along,
yeah,
it's not like they're getting left behind.
no,
As soon as you join your state assembly, you're also populating your county assembly simultaneously. But, we got to start. I had it in my head, you had to start at the county level when I first got into all of this. Well,
sure.
that doesn't, and Anna explained, no, we need to get the state stood up. But it'll all start to fall in place as we populate the state. The counties will naturally populate along with that. And as
Mm-hmm.
that happens, with our LRO that we're working on, we'll figure out how do we want to segment that data? How do we want to, the best ways to treat it? As long as we have our architecture in place, though, we're in good shape.
Right. And so all of that's been coming along, and we've been building it publicly. I mean, while people are on there. And then we've also had to clean things out because the more you use it, the more you exercise it, the more you're like, oh, we need to fix this. Well, oh, this is, And so it's not even done. It's nowhere near done.
It's what we
Um,
call WIP, work in progress.
it is, and especially because everything is manually being created on it because we can't let the previous land recording office was built on a WordPress site. You want to explain to everybody what the difference is between a WordPress site and what we're building?
Yeah, this is more bare metal, if you will. This is very, very, very specific to what we're trying to achieve. No, just not grabbing modules that are already pre done. And I think there's a lot of benefit to that because it makes us less vulnerable.
Yeah.
So again, I'll go back to my background. When we would do our work, we would do logic design from scratch because I don't want to use publicly available logic design or software because the public knows where the vulnerabilities are. So, we wanted to do this more from the ground up, which it's good and bad. We could argue about what's better, and there's pros and cons. But I think in this situation, it's a true benefit because
Mm.
it'll keep our vulnerabilities a lot lower.
Yes. I mean, and the more that we see the types of, I think that it opened up our eyes a lot more to how actually infiltrated our assemblies are, right, Gregory? Because we really were able to see how, because we had to learn all the ins and outs of how all this has to look, and in all those detailed conversations that we had about what Anna wanted and why, from all the lessons that she's had to learn along the way. Um, it's been
Yeah.
interesting to see what people want to try to upload. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
this? What is this?
And
So,
you really see in that protectionism when somebody's protective of something, you're wondering, we're not protective of. If somebody wants to go upload or record to 5 other locations, that's great. I
Mm-mm. They
more the
should.
the
They
more the
need to
merrier.
be. I mean,
Exactly.
Anna, when
No, we're
she
not trying to
published,
protect it. Yeah, and say you only
no,
can do this. Not at all. This is
no.
just yet another service is our intent.
Right. But that's the thing about the LROs. See, Anna says that people can publish anywhere they want. And
Hmm.
there are people who have had to publish on prison bathroom walls. So if they're publishing wherever they're at, you can't just say to them now, okay, now you have to come and be also published on our personal LRO. No,
No,
that's not how it works. And
right.
a lot of the state assemblies were like, if you didn't do your paperwork our way, if you didn't do it this way, it's one thing for us to say, hey friend, you your paperwork has parsed syntax, has some ecclesiastical law on there. It has,
Mhm.
because I've seen people's documents that have like four different languages on the one document, and I'm like, this isn't even, you don't even know what jurisdiction you're in,
Right.
and you don't know what it is that you're doing here. And so, um, obviously, um, we have to follow the law,
Yeah.
and you want to make sure it's lawful and that they have standing.
Yeah.
And especially if they are part of the assembly, because that is how formidable your assembly will be. You want to make sure the paperwork for the assembly is formidable.
Right.
Outside of that, when people come with their mixed up paperwork, I just normally want to say to them, so are you interested in serving on the assembly, or like what's your intention? What would you like? And if, because there's a bunch of people who know everything and they just want to do what they want to do, and that's fine.
Yep.
But
Yep.
they can't participate on the assembly if they don't know that they're American.
Yeah. That's right. Yep. If they don't know what they don't know.
Right. And we're
Yep.
all learning all of these
Yep.
things.
Yep. Well, and the other thing I was thinking of as you were talking about that too is, and it's a big learning, is the land. Actually going back to the patent or the warrant or the
Grant.
whatever grant,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. There's multiple. We got into that here earlier this year,
Mm-hmm.
and on a couple of different properties that I own, and one of them was a military warrant, and one of them was a grant. But the grant
Mm-hmm.
was made by a state that didn't even have the state
Authority
to
to
make the
do.
grant. Like, oh my god! So there's a lot to figure out here, and
Yeah.
that's what we need to try to focus on. Is I think the military warrant will be a lot simpler
Mm.
after talking to Anna about it.
Yeah.
But we'll have to figure all this out. And I'm in Kansas. I'm in one of these Western states, as she calls. We were enrolled October 1st, 2020, I think it was, or October
Yeah.
2nd, whatever the date was.
Sure.
We weren't a true state until then, and all there's many others like that. So, but I think that process will be entirely different than the Northeast. That's going to be a real, there's a lot of different ways that land was granted, let's say. So that's the other thing, is we want to figure out how to be experts in that. We want to help people
Mm-hmm.
uh, and bring more people in to learn that process, because we have to get the land back. It's that simple.
Right. Right. We have to do that. And also for the original 13 colonies, like you're stating, like it's going to look really different.
Mhm. Yep.
Um those land parcels versus the other. But that's the reason that I am kind of stuck on this thing, and I was really hoping to be able to ask Anna tonight, like, I don't think anything past the 13th Amendment was ratified.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just like the states weren't ratified. None of this came in because everything kind of stopped when they started to create the 14th Amendment, which
Yep.
was a lie, which is the reason why I always just thought everything after the 14th Amendment was nonsense. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and I mean, I could completely be wrong about this. And so, but I just don't know how the 14th one would have been ratified, or not ratified. And then anything
And then
beyond that would
right,
have
and
been
then subsequent ones.
ratified.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Logically, you're
I mean,
correct.
logic, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. That's
So,
true.
yeah. Um,
But these are, amendments to the contract. That's all
Right.
they are. They're just an amendment to the contract,
Right.
not, you know,
Which the people who were trying to amend the contract had absolutely zero authority to amend.
yeah, it's like me walking up to my employer and saying, "Hey, I just made a change to my employment contract that you wrote and enforced on me." And
Mhm.
I don't even I really walk up to them and say that. I just do it.
Right.
I just do
I'm
it.
just changed my entire contract,
Yeah.
and this is going to be what works for me, not that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Mhm.
exactly the situation.
Yeah.
What would you expect your employer to say? Oh, yeah, sure, fine.
Like what? I know.
Yeah.
And then and so we, even Anna, just even in the very beginning of her this book. I mean, when you literally just open it up at the very
Hmm.
very beginning, in the very very beginning, she says, each and every one of you has more civil authority on the land than the entire federal government.
Yeah.
You must learn to exercise that power with a sure hand, indeed, as kings and queens without subjects. And we've been talking about this on our assembly because everybody is saying, oh, well, we got to study this and we got to do that. I mean, there's even been other leaders within the TASA organization who are saying, oh, we need to understand, their whatever DMV rules. No, the hell we don't. We stand over all of that.
Right.
They are supposed to do what we say to do. And we certainly never gave them any authority to police us.
Right.
They can police their own people all day long. But
Their own employees, aka citizens.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're employees,
Yep.
but they don't get to police us. And
Right.
so they must identify us. And the only thing that we are going to have to keep doing is saying, but I'm right here. Who are
Right.
you? I'm right here. Who are you? And we were talking about this on our assembly this week, Greg. We started singing, who are you? Who,
Yep.
who?
Yep.
I really want to know, you
Yep.
know, who do you think you are? Because they can't, once you start identifying, once they have to be forced to identify themselves and
Hmm.
everyone in the conversation, they have to recognize that you are like, oh, that's who you are.
You're a people,
You're a
right?
people,
Not a citizen.
not a human being.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, not a
Exactly.
person, not a person.
Living man, living woman.
Yeah,
The people. We the people.
the people. They're not even the people.
Nope. They're not even the people. They're the persons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been keeping up with this whole situation with Anna. 2 days after
Mm-hmm.
June had passed, and the whole
Yeah.
situation that came about. And reading the articles, and again, I've been communicating with her, given our circumstances, our unique circumstances, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's really, I would just tell people, go back to whenever that date was, in that first article she wrote, and kind of follow it through. It's really
Mm-hmm.
a neat story. And then this full circle article today, I was published today. I think she wrote it yesterday. Just
Mm-hmm.
kind of, it's a full circle thing. Not only just in the last few months or whatever it's been, but also, like she said, going back to her number one
Article.
article that she wrote.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there, I mean, you could just read this series and not learn everything, but you could learn a lot,
Yeah.
because essentially that's what happened, is they simply misidentified her.
Right.
And it's really is that's all it is. And she
And
went
then
through.
they're trying to just solicit you, like,
Yeah.
you guys, the big business, big government, all big government is them having established all these things they can charge us for,
Yeah.
because they're just in the business of selling us services, right?
Yeah.
And we're just like, but we don't even want 99% of the service. We're simple living men.
Right.
Like we don't require all of that.
Right.
And no, thank you.
Right.
We're not interested in most of it. Most of it's harmful. We don't want it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You hand over your paperwork on your private automobile or whatever, and they take it and hand you a certificate back, a coat check back, and then they collateralize that private property yours for their gain. I
Right.
mean, that's their service, and then you pay them to do that. That's the amazing thing. You pay them to collateralize your property so that they can gain off
And
of it.
then you fear them.
Yeah,
And then you worry about telling them who you are
yeah,
and don't. You know
yeah.
what? What I've learned is that if you really, like, really read this, like, do it again. I think that you have to read it every 3 months or so because you change your mind
Hmm.
and you're opening your mind more and more and more and more. And every time you read it, it's completely different. But I find the same thing with this. I
Yeah,
could just keep starting to read page one over and over again and go, oh, we could just talk about this first page for 2 weeks,
right.
you know? Because people don't know.
Yeah,
They still can't, they still don't know that the continental capital U, United States of America, is not the district United States of America. Just that one statement.
yeah. Well, it's confusing, and it's done so on purpose by their design. It's confusing,
Right.
and and the indoctrination that we've all gone through,
Yeah. And the
just
word spells.
and the word spells and everything else. So yeah, I've seen a lot of that from a different perspective the last couple months now, and whew, it's amazing what they've done to all of us. So yeah, I'm just hopeful. I actually normally don't, but I've been watching the comments some here, so I normally just
So
turn them
knock
off.
yourself out. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But
What are you thinking? Because I have there's a lot. We can start through go through
yeah,
some of these.
why don't we do that? I think there's a lot of good comments rolling in.
Hmm.
I think one of them was, and I had the same question, and I don't know the answer to this, but early on there was a question about um, what will be made available to the public, the this ruling or whatever that Anna's talking about in her full circle article, and I don't know, but I do know there was public information on the court
Like,
order
are you
and
talking about
such.
this?
Maybe so. Yeah, there was several kind of
Yeah,
asking, explaining
there's
why.
several little pieces about it.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer to that. But that was a
Mm,
question. I had that same question as well because we need that precedence and we need it publicly available
uh,
because that's really what's going to be the teeth, so to
is it
speak.
this one?
Yeah, it's a lot of them there. Yeah, I was seeing
Yeah,
them kind of scroll across.
yeah.
You know
So
what? Neely, didn't you say somebody told me they sent something to the IRS? No, what was it? A
mhm,
Secretary of State. Somebody
mhm.
sent you said something to Secretary of State, wasn't it?
we
And it couldn't be
every
delivered
we
because there wasn't anybody
I
there.
mean we've they it was the first time it got returned to sender.
Yeah.
And and everybody, like, because we had on North Carolina, we were going through and having all of our members notice with testimony, because we wanted unrebutted testimonies in the form of an affidavit for our
Uh-huh.
declarations, right?
Uh-huh.
And no one was teaching that anywhere on any of the 50 states, so nobody was doing that but previously.
Yeah.
And so um you know, since so many of us were sending them, we were getting all these varied reactions from the North Carolina state estate because all of a sudden they were like, what in the world is going on? You know, like all of a sudden everybody's getting these different reactions. And then the final one was when it just came back, returned to sender. And then we were just like, oh, they must really be closed because, they said that they were going to be closing down the government. We were like,
They hid in a hole, and yeah, they're not there.
but then it's fascinating because the postal service, the post office, when you go to send it with priority express mail, then
Mhm.
they won't allow you to send something to an address that is no longer right.
Yeah,
And
they look
so
it up. That's right. They'll
mhm,
go and put it into their system and look it up.
mhm.
Yeah.
So then I went back to send another one, and then they accepted it. And I said, now, if this
Huh.
gets returned to sender, then I'm gonna get my money back, right? Because you've guaranteed it and insured and blah 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 and
Right.
da da da.
Right.
And they were like, oh yeah, because And I said, and what about when they won't sign it, or that they refuse to sign for it? Why are they able to get the package if they're not willing to sign for it? And they
Yeah.
said, oh, that should never happen. I go, well, why is the Secretary of State's office able to receive it that way?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh. I was like, uh-huh. So started questioning the service, the postal service, and you could tell that they were just like, no, we would have to give you a refund for that. I'm like, right. But once
Hmm.
it goes through the system, if nothing else, it's copywritten.
Yeah. That's true.
So if you get it back, just hold on to it because it's been copywritten now. You just hold it
Yep. That's
until
right.
you need to do something with it. It's definitely unrebutted and it definitely went through their court.
Yep.
And that is something. And you can even get your money back, which is even better
Yeah.
when they
Yeah. You
don't
get all
deliver it.
that for free.
All of it done for free. You just hold on to it.
Yep.
So there's that. Um, yeah, I would not be definitely paying anybody, Jason. I would actually, as far as taxes go, just sit tight and just hold on. I mean, they would have to really come and ask me because they didn't send you a bill because they never do. You're
Yeah.
going to volunteer money to them? Nope, I wouldn't be doing that. I don't know what you're talking about, Giovanni. Who's going to enforce what? No idea what you're talking about. Um,
Yeah. I think the next
we're volunteers, and the
week.
GFG is volunteers, Giovanni. They don't have time to answer your questions on Telegram or anywhere. So they're working on. They can either be building the infrastructure and getting everything ready to work in your favor, or not. I think everybody can just hold on and wait.
Yep.
Is it just me that thinks that, Gregory?
Nope. Nope. Well, if
um,
you've ever built anything with systems or whatever, particularly that, I mean, that's so massive of an undertaking.
right, right.
I mean, just look at what, the fiat is fading away. And you
Yeah.
see that because gold and silver aren't more valuable today than they were 3 months ago. But compared to the fiat, they are. So you can
Right.
see the fiat fading away. Literally, it's not a switch either. It's just sort of just kind of dying off. And as that happens, the government's shut down, right? Because of their excuses or whatever, their theater that's going on. But the fact of the matter is, it's shut down. The fiat's losing its value, which makes it gold and silver higher priced. They didn't
Mhm.
change value. The fiat lost value. So it's all happening.
Mhm.
I think we all in our minds, and me included, kind of expected the moment where the switch flips. It's
Yeah.
just not the way it works.
Yeah.
It sort of happens, step by step over time, and I think we just have to be prepared. I don't. I have this gut feeling that we got something coming up here in the next week or so because we're just in that October period. October is historically when things happen. We got Halloween coming up. It's just
They love to be trick and treating, trick
that's
or
right. It
treating
feels like trick or treat season is coming. So
next week.
yeah,
Um, I just wanted to let Miguel here know you order your credential card. You have to like pay for it and order it. And I don't know if there's any reason that Mexico can or cannot get one from GFG, but you actually have to order it. Nobody's just sending it to you, okay, Miguel? So make sure you log in and order it. And I know that we are going to offer credential cards on Bucolic. We haven't gotten that far because we're still just trying to clean up
Yeah.
some of our processes, and especially because adding other nations. I don't know why it became so complicated to add another nation any different than adding another state, but um, maybe the guys that are doing the coding, Gregory, like you could talk to them. Maybe they need a guy talk. Maybe.
Yeah, we need an architecture talk. So I got something really fun though, Niti. We were talking about
Okay.
trick or treating, right?
Yes.
And Halloween coming up. So I sent you a picture. Not because I couldn't figure out how to send it through our software here. I don't know
Oh.
if you can get what I just sent you and post it,
Mm.
but so here's a fun thing to do for those people that have chickens.
Okay. Hold on.
What you do is you take a pumpkin, and what I did, I'll put it this way: what I did was I
Okay.
took a pumpkin with my 6-year-old granddaughter,
Uh-huh.
and we drew with a Sharpie, the face we wanted.
Okay.
And she calls me Papa, so she says, "Papa, I wanted to have round eyes, a triangle nose, and then a smile." So we drew that on there with the Sharpie, and then I just took a utility knife and I cut the
Oh,
rind, the
that's not
top
it.
layer away, but
Uh-huh.
I left the meat behind it. We put it out in the pen with the. We guess she's got 30 new chicks. We put it out in the pen with the chicks, and what they'll do is they'll peck the area where you take the rind away. They'll peck out the meat and they'll leave the rest. So we didn't carve that; the chickens did.
Oh, hold on.
See
It's
how?
trying to. Oh wow,
Yeah.
it's trying to load. Hang on.
Okay.
I don't
So
know.
anyway, it was for people that have chickens. It's kind of a fun thing to do, and we literally put that out at 7 p.m. my time here on Kansas. I think we put that out about 2:30 this afternoon. So in
Hmm.
about 3 or 4 hours, they carved the pumpkin for us.
Well, that didn't work. Hang on. Let me see. I don't know why I can't
Sorry.
get it up on here.
Oh yeah. So there's somebody talking about it. They did it. I was just really amazed how fast they did it.
Well, oh,
Yeah. So all I did was remove just that thin layer from where we marked. Whoops, there went away. But anyway, the chickens pecked out the rest and had a grand old time with it.
I don't know why it is. I mean, normally, like an image is the easiest thing to like open, and it's like spinning and spinning and spinning
Hmm.
and spinning when I'm trying to put it up here on the show. Sorry.
Yeah, it made me think of that
Technical glitch.
with the discussion about Halloween. That was our trick for the day. There you go. That's our trick for the day. Yeah, I think in about 3 hours, 4 hours maybe they did that.
It's the funnest looking thing that I mean, I can see it on my screen.
It's there.
Oh, maybe
I can
it'll let me share screen it. Hold on. I
I can
can
see it now, Needy. I don't know if everybody else can, but I could see it right there.
Oh, you could?
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
shoot. Hold on. I took it down cuz I thought I couldn't see it. I wonder if I just can't see it.
Oh, that may be. Yeah, it's there for me
Can
right
you
now.
guys see it?
I don't see it. No comments are coming in now. Oh, there we go. There's somebody saw it.
Oh, really?
So, so this was the older granddaughter. I'll do it with the younger granddaughter and the grandson. Now that'll be our project tomorrow is to get theirs done.
Can you see that? Oh, wait.
Yep. The comments are rolling in.
Oh, wait,
People saying
there.
they see
Can
it.
you see that?
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
It let me do it as a share screen image, but it wouldn't let me do it, or I couldn't see the other one.
Everybody's seeing it now.
Yeah, that's actually pretty solid. What did you do? You put feet on there?
No, it's no. You just simply carve away the very thin outer layer
Uh
so
huh.
that you expose the meat,
Oh,
and they'll go eat everything that is exposed and leave
oh,
the rest.
oh.
Yeah, it's
That's
it's
pretty
fun.
cool.
Yeah, yep.
Cool.
So that was our experiment. I saw it. I don't know somewhere. Somebody had told me about it, and I thought, sounds like a good idea. We proved it. We ran the experiment today.
Cool.
Two
Well,
more, two more pumpkins going into the chicken pen tomorrow.
um, someone's asking this question, Greg. Were the amendments we're talking about not ratified under the organic constitution? We have three constitutions. So our three constitutions are for the three subcontractors.
Yeah,
And so there isn't just one
right.
constitution. And so, as far as I know, we only ratified the first 13. And we are going to be seeking uh, Anna's answers for the rest of it because I don't think any of the other ones were ratified. Because why would the
I don't know
14th
how they
one?
could have been. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make any logical sense.
Yep.
So anyway, Greg, we've been just going on and on for the whole hour, and you know, I miss Anna, and I know that she's having a really hard time, and she, we're talking in the background. She has really bad days and good days, and
Yep.
it not even like the whole day. It's just
Moment by moment.
moments, the moment,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
I know all about it. I mean, I don't know about it from my spouse, and I don't want to know anything about that. Um, but I definitely know what it was like with Mina. It was like, and it was not something that just went away in 2 minutes.
Nope.
So
Nope. It's interesting. It kind of proves to me that we have this concept of time or this construct of time, and grief doesn't work that way.
yeah,
You'll have
no,
you'll have memories from 30 years ago
yeah,
and 3 minutes ago. And so, and so I know exactly what she's obviously, I know exactly what she's going through.
yeah. You
So,
have there's no logical control over it.
nope,
So
there is none. There is none.
there's no logic to it. But
So,
we are going to continue to send you powerful love and light, and
I
and
appreciate that.
and it'll be wonderful if we can see you again next week. But um, you already know, Greg, we're not holding you to any. We're
And I'm not making any promises.
yeah,
You just can't. But yeah, I'd love it if all three of us could be back on next week.
yeah,
Um, Me and you
yeah,
and Anna, and we'll just see what happens and
yep.
take it day by day. That's
Yes,
all
we
we can
will.
do.
That's all we can do. We're not going to put any extra pressure on any of you. It's too much. And we just love you so much. And hey, guys, I will see you for the Exit Stage Left show on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. And outside of that, I'll be back next Thursday, holding it down until everybody gets it together because there's just so much great love here for you guys. And thank you for everything.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody. I see the comments. I appreciate all of it. Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in.